Wonderful good evening, friends, and welcome to the Spiritual Side of Virginia. It's so good to be with all of you here today. We're going to start by reading a message from the Spirit May, psychographed through the hands of the medium Chico Xavier. Message is called Our Ego. Our ego is a shell of darkness that does not allow us to perceive anything but ourselves. Blind mirror which vanity forges in the narrow sphere of our individualism, reflects exclusively our whims and our desires, preventing the penetration of light. Inside our pains, our conveniences, and our interests are always exaggerated, leading us to blindness and isolation. But the Lord, who sympathizes with our needs, grants us the cross of our daily duties, the instrument of liberation. Bearing it with faith and courage among the gifts of trust and the blessings of work, we crucify each day a portion of our inferior personality, so that our spirit, precious and eternal gem of the treasuries of God, may be lapidated to glorious immortality.
Let's pray. Let's connect. Feeling the presence of the loving and kind spirits who love us so dearly. Dear God, how wonderful to be here together, feeling your presence and opening ourselves to new learning. We rejoice in this environment that is simple and brings to us the awareness of your presence in us, in our planet. We rejoice and pray for those who discarnated today. May they feel the hands of loving and kind presences, leading them kindly to their spiritual home. Recovering from the long trip. We pray for those who reincarnated today or recently and are given a renewed opportunity. As for us, we hope that sooner than later we leave the prisons of our ego to fly freely in your direction. Thankful for your guidance and your protection. We thank you especially for granting us the permission to be here today, and so be it. That's history in the making, right? It is. I tell you why. There is a history behind it. As you can see, this message by May through Chico Xavier is a message that is deeply educational. May is an educator. She cares especially for children, but not only. And if you want to know more who she is, in some of Andrea Louis' books, you'll find the name Blandina, and that's her. She's an emissary of Not Solar. But she's talking about something that is very deep for us. It has everything to do with the course. Today we're going to begin a very specific course. We're going to record and then close it and then open for a more intimate conversation. Because it doesn't work just listening. It doesn't. If we just talk and go, it doesn't work. We need to work on what comes from it. Not everybody needs to, but those who want to. And this course, for those who already know, you will recognize a few things. It's a course that is being given in Brazil by a specific group in nearby the city of Ribeirão Preto, São Paulo, in the Center Terra de Ismael, which is a must if you're visiting Brazil. It's like a mini farm with the beautiful location. But most of all, they have a wonderful pharmacy. It's a pharmacy of nature because whatever they plant, the remedies come from it. They have faculty from the University of São Paulo and other universities who are spiritists, and they join forces giving free assistance to any one of us. They can listen to us, tell us, and from spiritual, emotional, and physical needs, you talk to them, and then as soon as you finish, you go to the other window, you already have your remedy free of charge. And everything is under the voucher of the government. They are doing nothing illegal, nothing like boutique-like. If you see their pharmacy, there is nothing comparable in the United States. Just so you imagine, it's state-of-the-art, the equipment that they have to go from planting to the remedies. But interesting enough, the people who work on the soil, planting, collecting, and transferring the seedlings to another thing and everything else, they are spiritist practitioners. They are people who know very much the concepts and the principles and the studies, and only the ones who know more are allowed to work on this. So when you pick up the remedy, you can feel that the people put a lot of intention. It's not like any volunteer. No. You have to know in order to volunteer in that regard. And they offer this course because it's changing the way we see spiritism. Because most of us, we read the books, listen to the talks, go home, nothing changes. With this, it changes. Everything changes. Because it begins with things like this. Their study is based on messages like this one by Mei Mei. We need to know who we are. So we're going to begin in our own way, recalling where it all began, Jesus. When we get the book Good News, if you go to the Chosen, you remember Nicodemus. Now he's a friend of ours. Then we didn't know, now we know Nicodemus very closely after the Chosen. And Nicodemus is this Pharisee who knew very much about the scriptures, was genuinely interested in achieving the kingdom of God, but he didn't know how. He got to know the Messiah and he had that deep conversation. Some things he couldn't understand. And Jesus said, you know why you don't understand, Nicodemus? Because you forgot to feel it. It's not enough to know. How many people do you say, oh, I have a family who's a spiritist, I've done so many courses, so what? Did it change anything? Because to make us ever more proud of it, then we didn't know anything. We need to feel it. And that's why Mei Mei, who's very kind, she comes and says, our ego is a shell of darkness that does not allow us to perceive anything but ourselves. Just to measure, thermometer. Can we talk with somebody without thinking about ourselves? You think Jesus looked at us and thought about him? No. Can we listen to somebody without thinking about us? Like, why is this person with this hair color? Why are they dressed like this way? Why do they speak that way? And we're always comparing with us, our things. It shows our ego immense, so big we can't see the person. We're seeing us. And when we're not, we strange the person and we're like, who are you? We're not alike. See how our ego doesn't allow us to see things as they are? It's very real. In this course, we're going to learn how to take the layers of this ego and start changing it so we can open ourselves and feel it. We have a few slides that the author of this study who put together is Celia. She's a psychologist and a spiritist whom I've got to know since I was a preteen. And she was one of the directors of the Spiritist Center I came to participate before moving to the US, together with a pharmacist and naturopath named Ana Maria Miranda, and Alzira Bessa, who is the great grand niece of Euripides Barcelona in Sacramento. So that's where the information came from. And now Carol helped translate the slides and we revised and decorated the slides. We decorated it, right? So we're going to share with you because we are also learning. Celia, when she shares it, she is sharing. We are sharing now in English firsthand because the English-speaking world deserves a chance, right? We need, and we're allowed to do it. They allowed us to do it. But it's so important. We have an opportunity to know ourselves and to empower ourselves. Empower spiritually speaking, not power like to fight the world. That's not the power we're talking about. We're talking the power to do this, to perceive things as they are, and not only see us everywhere, right? Like, you know how often you go to a restaurant and you feel like, that's not the type of food I like. Because we're seeing that as ego. You think Jesus would say that? If he went to a restaurant and the food was different than expected, he would say, that disgust. That's ego. That's ego. When ego decreases, life is much easier. Life is complicated when ego is too big. Very complicated. I expect people to love me. I expect people to accept me. I expect people to serve me. When ego disappears, I expect nothing. And I give of myself all the time. And look at Jesus as our model. Never talks about himself. What do we know about his background? Zero. What do we know about him? Zero. Before, right? He never said, I was born in Bethlehem. He never mentioned. Right? He never said, oh, I have a mom and a dad and brothers and sisters and siblings. He never talks about it. Why? Because that's ego. But what do? We talk about ourselves all the time. So let's move forward. So the course begins with decision time. From today onwards, it's a decision. Decision to change the course of events, to deflate the ego. So Professor Ripitz Barçanufo said through his great-grandniece, Alzira, that we need to use the gospel, the good news, to educate ourselves as immortal spirits. Not as Vanessa, not as Paula, Felipe, John, but as immortal spirits. That's our view. And he says, the gospel education for the spirit comes to contribute with the evolution of the spirit. Leaving the period of ignorance, the spirit reaches the reasoning level. Okay, why is he saying that? Because, friends, majority of times we use no reasoning. It's pure instinct, reactivity. Again, we go to a restaurant. Oh, this is not the type of food I like. No reasoning. It's pure reaction, reactivity. How often are we in the reactivity mode? Often. And that's why we're in trouble. For example, since we have teens, preteens here, how often do we go to school and we're like, this teacher I don't like very much, or this weird person in my class, strange, right? Because we are seeing with the eyes of ourselves, because they don't dress up as we do, they don't speak as we do, they don't talk as we do, they don't say things we like, and then we react. How do we stop that? Because that's not favoring us. It's creating unpleasantness. It's creating a chain of events because we are reacting. Because we are blind to see people as they are, beyond the veil of the flesh. So, the decision comes with choices. And now we're going to see a text that Emmanuel shares with us about how this reasoning will provide us choices. And if we use discernment, we'll be better off. But remember, discernment is a high skill. It's for humans. It's not for animals. And we're still more animals than humans. No wonder science still says we belong to the animal kingdom, right? But according to certain abilities, we are not animals at all. We're beyond animals. So that's why in Spiritism, we consider human beings belonging to the kingdom, the human kingdom, not the animal kingdom. The Spiritist science defines humans as part of the human kingdom, which comes before the angelic one. So being of good discernment is not about being an angel. Jesus didn't come to teach us to be angels. The choices we're talking about are human choices. So Emmanuel says, uncertainties seem to be of little relevance, but it is a matter of fundamental importance in each one's pathway. One enters moral instability, becoming used to it and being dominated by negative forces without noticing. How often we think that it is okay to be in front of a TV for hours and hours and hours, in front of a computer, watching things, playing video games, even adults, Children, and we can't blame children. Adults do that too. And that we think it's okay, but at the end of the day, it creates some instability in us that we don't notice. People declare themselves trusting in the morning and indecisive in the afternoon or the evening. Often, they plead in prayer, Lord, here I am before your will, show me what to do. Please show me what to do. And, Amen is going to say, when the Lord reveals through the circumstances the service in accordance with the needs to each one exclaims in sorrow, who am I to carry such a task? Carry out such a task. I have no strength. For me, I'm useless. Well, hopefully we're saying, Lord, show me what to do, because many people don't even ask. But what if we ask, and then when we're presented with the things to do, we're like, oh no, that's too much. And we're talking about things like family. We have our family, but we're like, why do I have this mom? Why do I have this dad? Why do I have these cousins? As if we're angels and life is pushing us. If we were angels, we wouldn't be complaining, right? The complaining part of us, the nagging part of us is a sign that we're not very much evolved. And we're not accepting the proposal. It's what we're going to call later in this course. It's a reincarnatory refusal. We refuse, we reject the proposal of this reincarnation. The body we have. No, but I don't want it. And there are people who are not happy with their body. And you look at them, they look perfect, but they are not happy with their body. They didn't accept the plan of this reincarnation. They didn't accept the family, the profession. No, but I'm so good at this. How come I ended up doing that? That's why we need to do this course, to understand why life is saying, you may be good at this, but in this life, you need to evolve by practicing this. If you wasted this, we'll see next step. Emilio continues. They know that to be of service, one needs to renew themselves, yet, paradoxically, they hope to renew themselves without serving. Serving here means to love when we're helping someone. So if the mother says, can you help me with laundry? And I say, oh. And then you go there. Oh. I showed Virginia a video of this, and she says, oh, Mom. Like me, I said, you still know. But let's go there. Oh. And then you stressed out your mom, stressed out your dad. You folded laundry. You put it in a drawer, and yet everybody's stressed out. I did it. But the attitude is not of service. So we need to coach ourselves and our children to serve. Because if they go to school saying, I'm going to help and love, they will come back smiling, no matter if a bully said this, if the teacher said that, because you're going to say, it's great, I did it. It's the Supergirl attitude. If you watch Supergirl on Netflix or Superman, they never say, oh no, another robbery. Another villain in my life. Can't believe these people never stop. Now they say, I'm ready. And they go there, they smile. It's a lot of work. They almost die, but they never die. But they go back and say, I'm ready for next one. That's the attitude that Jesus taught us. They can easily speak. And many times they proclaim themselves incapable of speaking while aiding someone in the edification of the Spirit. There are people who are good at speaking, but they don't help anybody. Emmanuel's words, just reminding us of our preparedness to make this choice, saying, this is it, it's done, moving forward. Who remembers the book Hail Christ? For those who read it. Right? Read it again. Fantastic book. And we see the Father, Quintus Vars, spending a whole reincarnation. He reincarnates twice. One as a father, he discarnates. Later he reincarnates and is adopted by his own son. And he dies together with his son, whom he committed to change his heart to Christ in 100 years. In 44 years he did that. In that crazy world of ancient Rome, the Roman Empire. In 44 years. But it's interesting to note, Tassianus, the son, he never liked the Christ. He was like, please take this away from me. Everywhere he saw it, he was like, please take it away, take it away, take it away, take it away. And all the people whom he loved the most became Christian. And he, at the end of his life, he's like, it's like a ghost haunting me, after me. And he's rejecting it. Almost till the last breath. By the time he is together with the Christians at the martyrdom of Christians, his adoptive son is near him. They are all gonna die, either burned or killed by the beasts. In his mind, Emmanuel shows to us, he has a lot of questions. He's like trying to put it all together, rewinding the tape of his life. And he looks back, compares to what's happening now. In every instance of all the people who were giving the sign to the path of the Christ, till he gets it. There is a split moment, it's like a quantic moment, in which he changes consciousness. He shifts, as Dyer would say. The shift. The moment the shift happens, from that moment on, before he dies, he looks at his son, who is almost dead, and says, son, I got it. I finally got the Christ. I am Christian too. His son dies. The minute after, one of the lions puts him down. He discarnates. He opens his eyes in the spiritual realm and see that from the body, the dead body of his son, is coming the figure of his father. He's like, oh my gosh, that was my father. Reincarnated. And then he starts seeing all the people who preceded him and who became Christians, embracing him. And his father, because Tassianus is tired. You think this carnation is like the body drops down when you fly? It depends. If we are very evolved, yes, but that's rare on Earth. Majority of us, it's like waking up from a very long sleep or a very tiring day, disease, etc. So there is a recovery time. So his father comes, takes him, and he flies to the highest heights, as Emmanuel says, as a victorious warrior who succeeded in taking the soul of that son to the right direction. Now he's going to make the right choices. How can we make the right choices if we don't know the direction? If you read the book, that's why we're saying read the book. Because you see there the people who did not make the right choices. What choices did they make? There was this woman. She had her affairs, but her husband couldn't have them. What did she do? When she saw that potentially her husband was in love with another woman, she created a plot to make her blind. She blinded the woman out of jealousy. That choice to do something out of jealousy is exactly what Emmanuel is saying here and what Mei repeated here. The shell of darkness. Tatiana's wife kills herself at the end. Why? Because her ego made choices that were wrong. First, she abandoned her daughter. Second, she cheated on her husband. And then cheated again, the other husband that she married again. And then she killed the man who was potentially in love with one of her daughters. And she did 10,000 crimes in that life. At the end of her life, when she comes by chance to meet the daughter she abandoned 20 years earlier, she revisits in a snap her whole life. She goes mad, kills herself. The choices made out of ego. Maybe in this life we're not going to kill anybody. Hopefully not. Physically. But we may kill with words. We may kill with our indifference. We may kill with our manipulations. So we need to talk about true responsibility. While the spirit does not take true responsibility for the consequences of its actions, the age of reasoning does not fully develop itself. So today the decision time is saying, from now on, everything that happens in my life, I take charge. If it's not going to the direction, I created that direction. Now I have to patiently repair it and create a new direction. The moment I stop saying, I don't do this because of my husband. I don't do that because of my wife. I don't do this because of my children. I don't do that because of my parents. The day I stop that and I say, I accept, I am in charge, I'm going to be courageous and face the reality of my life. Why am I reincarnating? Then I ask questions. Why am I here and not there? Why am I with these people, not other people? Why is God presenting me this person here? In these books by Emmanuel, we're going to see that coincidences do not exist. In all of the books, from 2,000 years ago, 50 years later, Hail Christ, Renunciation, we're going to see that when people are walking in the street and they meet somebody, it's not by chance. That the good spirits on the behind the scenes are helping us meet the people we need to meet to progress and to help them as well. So there is no such a thing like, oh, I don't know why I ended up in this country. I don't know why I was born in this family. It was a mistake. Some people go even further. I don't know why I'm in this planet. What kind of planet is this? So, to understand that, we're going to talk about reasoning and faith inevitably. Reasoning is lucid, well-structured, advanced thought that emanates from the spirit, rooted by knowledge, intelligence, discernment, and logic. We're going to talk about these things later. This is just an introduction. Faith is a framework ruled by moral values. It has its basis, the building of sentiments of hope, charity, and of acceptance of God's will. So, for a long time, reasoning became compromised on account of dogmas, prejudices, atavisms, things that were conditioned from previous experiences. Right? How many people say, I fold laundry this way because that's the way my mom taught me. Okay, I get it. But is this the best way? Because if you turn on the TV and watch, for those who love organization, Mary Kondo, the Japanese organizer, she has a different way of folding. Well, am I going to say, oh, well, that works in Japan, doesn't work here? Well, what if that way works for us too? We need to use our reasoning. How many people are blocked because of these conditionings, dogmas, or prejudices? Yes. Yes. When thought is imprisoned by dogmas, reasoning becomes timorous. What does timorous mean? Shaky. It's like shaky. When moved by atavisms, meaning things that we've been carrying out for conditionings, let's say millennial, there is fear of being punished. Thus, reasoning becomes constrained. When we isolate ourselves due to prejudices, reasoning becomes blunted. So today, to boost our choice, we need to boost our reasoning, our discernment. This is a picture, mediumistic picture, so which means a medium received this drawing to represent reasoning. Like in the spirit, when it comes, you see the explanation. No one accesses reason without the knowledge of the truth. The spirit develops intelligence from the acquisition of knowledge, and knowledge combined with reasoning interrupts the flow of circular thinking associated with given memory contexts. So this is us, as it says, the flow of circular thinking. On Sunday, we talked about Emmanuel's message about the importance of instruction, so knowledge. As we acquire new knowledge, and our reasoning accommodates it, it's going to interrupt this flow, expand. So the people who say, I don't like going to school, you're not going to progress, okay? Maybe you're going to make money, be rich. That's not progress. Progress is not about making money. We're talking about immortal progress. So we need to love to learn, to read, to go to school, even when we're adults. It's not only for children and teens, it's for all of us. There is a website named Coursera.com that has many free courses by the brightest minds in this country. Faculty at different universities, they are releasing free of charge lots of courses. Coursera. Coursera. It's like Coursera. Coursera. So many courses. If we don't aim at learning something new every day, we're missing the boat. Oh, but I have a lot to work to do. Think of yourself as a spirit. Because as we knowledge combined with our reasoning will open our circular thinking that doesn't allow us to progress. The spirit expands reasoning when there is discernment. I know at this point, like so many words, big words, discernment, reasoning, choices. But little by little, the spirit expands reasoning when there is discernment. So we need to reason, to make choices. Discernment is a big part of it. So now, in a very, see today, 3, 4 spirits, Euridice, Barçanufo, Emmanuel, Meimei, and André Luiz, all together, same direction. Choices. The helm of reason is discernment. We want to make right choices. And I often give example about Virginia because it's about education, right? We learn and we pass it on. Often we repeat. Make wise choices, not for today, but for immortality. You need to force yourself to think. That's how we expand and mature our prefrontal cortex. I talk to some psychologists who don't know this. They don't know about the spirit, and they say, oh, but at this age, they are not prepared. Okay, thank you very much. The brain works by stimulation. Okay, that's how it works. And as spirits, we know their spirit can be older than us, more experienced than us. What is it we're going to expect them to be like everybody else? No, we're going to boost the best in them and say, I know you are in a phase of a child now, but you're not a child. You're a millennial spirit. Maybe you have more experience than me. Then show it for your own benefit. Love yourself to the point that you want to progress every day, because that's self-love. The use of discernment, says André Luiz, free will, guided by the divine laws, is clear and incontestable in the processes of the conscience. Even in absolute confinement from the physical point of view, one in thought is free to elect good or evil for the path of the spirit. This is André Luiz. And I know it's a lot to chew on altogether, right? But we need to reflect on all of this and see, as Meimei said at the beginning, where we are. The shell of our darkness that needs to disappear, needs to allow our divine seed to bloom, and see how we can identify it. So now we're going to stop for a few minutes of possible conversation, though for the people who are on the internet, we're going to say goodbye. And See you next time.